Boom. Seems like we're live. Let me make sure we're live on Facebook and we're public. Let's see. What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? It's been a minute. I haven't been live on my English YouTube channel. Let me make sure that I'm public on Facebook as well. Boom. Boom. And then we're going to pin this. I don't know what's wrong with Mark Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg's algorithm is a mess. It is a mess. He need to fix this. Facebook algorithm is absolute trash. To keep the posts seen by everybody. Let me see. Let me see if I can pin this right here. What's up? What's up, guys? What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? Happy. I think it's Thursday. I think we should be Thursday today. I'm coming here to talk about the disasters that are happening in the wholesale industry right now, guys. Currently people are being sued left and right for what is deemed to be unlawful practices in the real estate wholesaling industry specifically. And there is a big one going around right now. I don't know if anybody watching here, maybe you guys have heard of it, maybe you've read the articles on it. I'm actually going to do a whole podcast episode with my closing attorney, Michael Gross, who's a 40 plus years real estate attorney, to talk about this. He told me that he read the article. So this is a big company in Arizona that is getting sued. I think they're being sued for 123 transactions or some crazy stuff like that. A lot of the practices, the way they were doing it, specifically even going after pre-foreclosures. So people are getting sued left and right. We have the short sale queen that is in jail, if I'm not mistaken, right now. By the way, guys, full disclosure, I'm not an attorney. I'm just here to talk about the wholesale industry as a whole. I've been doing this for over probably 6 years now. I would say 6 years, right? 6 years. I started real estate wholesaling. And lucky for me and my team right now, we completely transitioned into real estate new development. We went from wholesaling to doing the fix and flips to the buy and holds. Now we do real estate new development, but we still do acquisition. So we still call sellers, acquire our own land, and negotiate our own land. So that's obviously that skill right there. We've acquired it through real estate wholesaling, right? So let me adjust my sound here a little bit, guys. Anybody who's watching, can you guys let me know if I'm too loud on the mic, please? Let me know. You guys let me know if you can hear me, okay, or if I'm too loud. If I should adjust my mic. So, guys, I want to talk about real estate wholesaling in general. People are getting sued left and right. Regulations are coming down heavy. If you guys haven't read this indictment about this company, you guys should definitely go. You can literally Google it. It's all over the news. It's a big company in Arizona. If you go right now online and you type, lawsuit. Oh, thank you, Diana. And you type lawsuit wholesale in Arizona, whatever, it's gonna pop up, right? I took the article and I sent it to my attorney, Michael Gross. He looked at it. He was like, "Oh yeah, I've read this already." But guys, it's bunch of stuff, right? So it's bunch of stuff, but they're coming down heavy. I think there is a couple of states that already you cannot wholesale unless you have a license. South Carolina, don't quote me on this. Obviously, a simple Google search, guys, or a simple chat GPT search, we're in the AI era, will literally tell you if the state where you're trying to wholesale real estate, if you need a license, how to do it, if the laws have changed, because a lot have changed, honestly, the recent years. And they're coming down heavy on wholesalers because there's so many bad apples in this industry. And we're going to talk about that today. If you're new into this channel or you're new into wholesaling at all, you don't even know what that means. Wholesaling is basically the strategy where you can go out and call a motivated seller on a distressed home, whether it be off market or on market, really doesn't matter. You make an offer on it. you put it under contract, but you just sell that contract for an assignment fee. So you're not the one buying the property. All you're doing is putting it under contract, and then you're selling it to what we call a cash buyer. That could be a fix and flipper, that could be a buy and hold investor. So basically, you're not the one buying the property. So if you guys go right now and read about this company being sued right now for all the transactions they've done, this lawsuit include any wholesaler that was involved. There's a lot of that. The attorneys that was involved in the closings, right, of these transactions. That's how deep it gets, guys. Even the title companies that was involved closing all these deals have been indicted into this here, right, guys? You can go read it online for yourself, right? Anybody who was involved from one of the things that a lot of people do in wholesaling, and we've done it as well, is do what is called joint ventures. So for example, I have a contract, for example, and let's say I don't have a buyer, and then somebody else brings a buyer. So we do a joint venture because I have the deal, I have the contract on the property, and that person brings a buyer, and we do a profit split. So we assign it, right? So the problem with that is now the language, and we're going to go over it here, guys, the language that they're coming even after to be able to sue you on this, it's so gray, it's so blurry that you don't know, and you better watch out to make sure you're actually compliant within your local state laws. That's number one. Number two, you better stop going around and calling yourself a freaking wholesaler, right? You stop calling yourself a freaking wholesaler, period, right? So now, there are a couple of things I want to talk about. The first thing would be the mindset of a wholesaler. Like I said, right now we're doing full-time real estate new development, but we've started a real estate wholesaling. That's what got me into real estate. There is two sides to this coin, right? One is a low barrier entry into real estate that doesn't require credit. It doesn't require a license. It doesn't require a degree. It doesn't require anything. Like, the barrier is so low that just thinking about in general, if something is so easy to get into, the kind of people that is going to attract as well, right? So if you think about even the gurus, I'm talking about the big gurus that market themselves on YouTube, which is how I discovered wholesaling myself, right? Remember, guys, there is no light without dark. There is no day without night. So there's never is one side coin into this, right? There's gray areas here, but the gurus that market it, when they're marketing courses, the things that catches people is the no credit and is the no license, right? So it's such a low barrier entry that by default also it attracts the most fly-by-nighters type of mentality people on earth, because you don't need credit. Like here in the US, anybody watching this outside of the US, you might not understand this, but if you live in the US, here in the US, the economic system, the financing and the banking system revolves around credit. If you have credit in the US, if you have good credit, which means you're financially disciplined, that's all that means. So the bank, look at you and go, you know what? You have good credit. That means if somebody lends you money, you are potentially most likely to pay back because you have good credit. You're financially disciplined. You're not overspending, right? So you're somebody that technically get your shit together, at least financially, right? At least financially. So if you have an industry where the catch for the gurus that just all they do is sell courses, the catch is you don't need credit. By default, it also attracts all the fly-by-nighters that we call them. What I call fly-by-nighters, guys, is people that get into real estate wholesaling just to make a $10,000 assignment fee. They're not dedicated. They don't want to become real estate investors. When I say investor, meaning you take down title, you buy the property, you flip it, you buy the property, you keep it as a buy and hold, you take over title. That makes you an investor. You're not an investor if all you're doing is wholesaling, taking the contract and assigning it. You're just a middle person. Nothing wrong with it, but that's what you are. You're not an investor, right? So when I say fly-by-nighters, is people, number one, They don't have credit. They're already not, most people, they're already not financially disciplined. Don't have any work ethic, right? It's people that just want to make a lot of people that just want to make $10,000, just to pay for something, pay for rent or pay for a mortgage, whatever. But that's it, right? They're not fully committed to the business. They're not fully committed to real estate. They're not fully committed to making this like a lifestyle, going full blown, all in, learning how to implement systems, build a team, graduate from real estate wholesaling. Retrospectively, when I think about it, is actually like kindergarten for real estate. That's all it is. Kindergarten for real estate. Now, anybody who have kids knows if you take your kids and take them and bring them, start bringing them to kindergarten, you also expect them to come back with diarrhea, to fall sick every day, hang around kids with other parents that don't raise their kids the right way, whatever, right? It's the same thing with real estate wholesaling. It's filled with people that are addicted to, like they have the gambling mentality, right? Fly by nighters, financially non-disciplined, don't have any work ethic. And trust me, guys, the way I build my momentum in real estate wholesaling, I've taken down a shitload of properties that I own by myself. I just offloaded my whole, single family portfolio. I think I have about maybe 3 properties. We're no longer doing single family. We only doing multifamily, and we're developing from the ground up. We're not even interested in properties that exist anymore. We build our own properties now, right? But you have to evolve. And what happens with the real estate industry is most people that get in, they're not looking to evolve into anything. And 99.9% of wholesalers, reality is, guys, are probably closing one deal every 7 months. Every 7 months. Rarely you meet. And I've been through to all the events you can think of. I've shook hands with some of the biggest gurus. The shit they will actually tell you, behind the scenes, if you meet them at an event, and what they'll tell you on a YouTube video is absolutely the opposite. These gurus, they have their credit right. They do the fix and flips more than the wholesale. So they graduated. They do take care of their credit. They do the BRRRR methods. They do buy more multifamily than single family, even though they tell you to just do single family, right? And also a lot of them also are selling more courses than they're actually doing real estate deals. A lot of, that's just the reality. They just find it easier to be a coach than to always be, handling maybe like a construction crew, doing the, you know what I mean? Like when they start getting that mentorship money, they just dedicate themselves into that. So the real estate wholesaling industry in general, the mentality of because what built my momentum, guys, in the beginning, when I first started, I was like, you know what? I don't have the money to start pulling the list, always keep tracing, using my own money, marketing, buying the CRMs. What I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start reaching out to other wholesalers that are too much of, too afraid, too much of sissies to call a seller, but they're marketing, right? They're marketing. They're putting out the marketing, they're putting out the banner signs, they're sending the text messages, they're doing the cold calls, but they can't even, they have a VA doing the cold call, but they don't even want to follow up because they're afraid to get on the phone with a seller. I decided I'm going to put myself out there on Facebook and all these places and say, hey guys, anybody who's afraid to speak to a homeowner, a seller, just put me on a 3-way and I'll talk to your seller. So my full-time day-to-day was the joint venture model where I'm dealing with wholesalers that I'm helping on the phone on the 3-way, right, to close sellers. And is anybody will tell you, anybody who has done this business model where you're doing the JV model, or anybody who is doing disposition, meaning you're not calling the sellers, you're just waiting for somebody else to call the sellers, hunt, catch the fish, then they bring it to you, then you sell it. So basically, cold call, lock up the deal, bring it to you, you have a buyer, you sell it. That's a dispo person. There's people, their whole business model is to dispo other people's deals. They'll tell you dealing with wholesalers in general, it is the most mentally draining thing you can ever do, because 99.9% of people in that industry, their mindset is not the strategy that is an issue. It's funny because when my team and I decided to go into real estate new development, what got us into the door and got us our first hands-on mentor is actually the skill of real estate wholesaling, which is acquisition, right? We know how to call, any homeowner, whether you own a land, whether you own a horse, whether you own a property, negotiate with you, have a conversation, put it on the contract. We know how to build the relationships. We have private lenders, and that's wholesaling allowed us to gain those skills because none of us had any sales background. So the skill itself is very valuable, right? And Azul, I'll get your question in a minute, bro. I'll get your question in a minute. I'm here for an hour or so, so let me just finish my rant here, and then I'm gonna get your question, bro. Okay. I hope you, bro or sister. I'm not really sure. Um. So guys, what was I saying? Yeah. So the skill of real estate wholesaling is very, very invaluable, but it's really an acquisition skill if you guys think about it. Because what you're learning with real estate wholesaling is basically the art of finding off market good deals at discounted prices, negotiating these properties, putting them under contract, and then you can decide to do whatever you want with it. If you're somebody who already have decent credit, you have a relationship with a hard money lender, and you put a property that needs renovation and is a fix and flip, you can absolutely take down that property that you have under contract yourself. We've done that on a bunch of properties. We take it down ourselves. So we are our own buyer. But when you first start, you're too afraid. You don't know how to find a general contractor. Plus, all the gurus are telling you, no, stay away from fix and flips. It's such a headache. Stay away from rental. It's such a headache. Why don't you just wholesale? Just sell in the contract. Like garbage, straight garbage, by the way, guys. Straight garbage, right? So the industry is filled with gamblers. I call them gamblers. It's people that want to get rich overnight. It's people that they're not looking to turn it into a business. They don't care how they put a seller under contract, what they tell the seller. If you guys read this indictment, you guys will see that some of the accusations that this company is dealing with, it's the language that they use when they're on the phone is deceiving. So they're telling the sellers things that they know they will not do or not able to do. Especially when you're going after pre-foreclosures. For those of you that are on the newer side, if you don't know what pre-foreclosures are, it's sellers that are behind on their mortgage and the bank is looking to foreclose on that property. And so there is and that's how I started, by the way. I started with pre-foreclosures, guys, and we're gonna get to the how careful you gotta be depending on the state where you're doing it. I was in Maryland at the time. Maryland is a state where you don't want to play with pre-foreclosures. If you market into pre-foreclosures in Maryland, you better be careful. You never know. You better be careful. Okay, there is a gray line, and I'm gonna get to it. I've actually done a whole podcast episode with attorney Michael Gross on this channel. We did like an hour or more episode where he's speaking exactly on those things. I'm going to talk about creative financing here as well, guys. They're coming heavy after pre-foreclosures, not after pre-foreclosures, sorry. The regulations are coming heavy after subject to deals, creative finance subject to deals, because of this whole mess of wholesalers just taking deals, assigning it to whoever, people defaulting on payments, or wholesalers themselves taking down low equity deals, properties that don't have zero equity at all, getting stuck with it, the seller's credit getting damaged. So it's being a mess. And now because all this industry is being made mainstream, well, it got to the eyes of the big judges, right? So guys, the first thing you're gonna notice about real estate wholesaling is the kind of mindset of the people you're dealing with. But by default, if something doesn't need credit, if something doesn't need license, if something doesn't need no credentials whatsoever to get in, the playing field is so low that anybody and their moms can get in. So of course, such a strategy is going to attract also more bad apples than any other strategy. For example, when we transition into real estate new development, we realize that, oh shit, here the playing field is leveled up because you do need credit, you do need experience in construction, right? You do need relationships. So you have to get your shit together in order to even get in, to get your feet in the door. You got to get your shit together. Fix and flips are the same thing. If you transition from real estate wholesaling to start doing your own fix and flips, You do in a way have to get your shit together, because you have to have a decent credit, even though you can get loans that don't necessarily reflect on your personal credit, but you still have to have credit. You still have to go to the lenders and show them that you do have experience of taking down properties on title and you owning those properties. So in a certain way, you do have to get your shit together. But wholesaling, anybody can do it. Anybody can do it. And so I've dealt with so many wholesalers that just I'm talking about the mindset, guys. I've done so many workshops. I've helped so many dozens and dozens of real estate newbie wholesalers that I've helped get their first deal, second deal, third deal, fourth deal. I promise you guys. But just dealing with wholesalers in general and going to these real estate events, talking to hosts, is the mindset. This right here, the overnight success, quick rich get scheme type of mentality. Gamblers is funny because I've met a lot of wholesalers that actually like literally they had a gambling issue before going into real estate wholesaling. But why is that relevant? The reason that's relevant, guys, is because the way they're coming hard with these regulations, taking people to court, some people ending up in jail, it's because a wholesaler that doesn't care and just want to make a $10,000, right? If they call a homeowner who's about to lose their home, and that homeowner, that's real life for them. That's real life for them. They're losing their home. They might end up on the street. And so you have a bunch of wholesalers learning wholesaling from whomever they're learning from, going out and putting properties under contract with numbers that doesn't make sense, meaning if they put that property under contract, they couldn't find a buyer to buy the property because their numbers are off. Why is their numbers off? Because they didn't get the basic training on how do you underwrite a property? How do you comp a property? Why? Because they don't want to invest in themselves and first go learn that first, because they want to get the money within 30 days, right? Or even if they do, they have this mentality of, yeah, but I don't want to share the $10,000, so I'm not going to reach out to somebody that knows how to comp the property, help me comp it, help me dispo it, make sure the deal is will pencil out, it works for a buyer. I don't know my numbers, I don't know how to comp, I've never flipped a property, I don't know how to come up with renovation costs. They're so stuck in their ways of just wanting to figure it out just to keep the whole amount and not join venture with anybody. That type of mentality, scarcity mentality, right? Like I told you guys, an industry that does require credit, I wish they would have cleaned. I'm happy for the cleaning, guys. I wish they would have cleaned this industry way earlier, because it just weed out all this unnecessary competition. It is a good thing. It is not a bad thing. They can come at it all day long. They can add to it even if they wanted to, right? And so, guys, you have how many deals, even us, how many homeowners we've dealt with that was going through foreclosure, that had a wholesaler put them under contract with the wrong numbers, wait till the day of or the day before the auction, before canceling the contract, after shopping the contract on Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, you name it, they couldn't sell it. Why? Because their numbers were wrong. And now that homeowner is too late to help them stop the auction, and they end up losing the property. That happened on dozens of deals we've dealt with, dozens of homeowners, especially the elderly, because they don't know any better. The average homeowner in the US, guys, will only sell one property in their lifetime. They don't know nothing about real estate. They don't know nothing about closing. They don't know nothing about asking somebody the right questions to make sure that that person is credible. They don't know nothing about verifying a contract. You see what I'm saying? So it's so easy and so simple to call these people and just feed them whatever you want, put them under contract, and then try to shop it around, because all you care about is your $10,000. But you forget that there is a family in this house, there is an older lady in this house, there's an older guy in this house that will lose the property at the auction if you're not able to find a buyer for the property because your numbers were wrong. So this is the kind of regular stuff you run into with real estate wholesalers in general. I remember when I first started, how cash buyers, I used to wonder why. You call a cash buyer, and soon as you mention the word, if you just say the word wholesaler, they will cuss you, they will black you. They're like that, and now I get it. And now I get it. It used to be so hard to justify myself in terms of like, I'm gonna send you a deal, whatever, because in their mind, the wholesalers don't know what they're doing. Every single deal I get on my email is a trash deal. The numbers are wrong, right? The contracts are wrong. So guys, the way they're coming after real estate wholesaling right now, the regulations, South Carolina right now, they're already enforcing it. Arizona, heavy, you have to disclose that you're going to wholesale the property. So the language you use when you're talking to the seller saying you're the buyer, and you're actually not the buyer, you're not pre-approved to buy the property, you don't have a lender that can help you double close on the property and actually have you take title, that you sell it in the back end. Going after pre-foreclosures, which is one of the niches that I love the most in real estate, because for me in the beginning, I found they're the most fulfilling. They're the most fulfilling, just morally, in terms of feeling like you've deserved a check. They were the most fulfilling in terms of helping the homeowners. These homeowners were genuinely going through some shit: divorce, alcoholism, stress, anxiety, death, right? Drugs, you name it. And one mortgage taking off of their shoulders is like lifting the world off of their shoulders, right? So I just found it fulfilling as the most fulfilling leads in terms of having that feeling of, man, I've deserved this check. I really helped somebody, and so I deserve the check. But in this indictment, guys, if you guys go read it, they've added the contracts that these people use, languages that benefit the wholesaler more than the seller. There's no balance, right? There's no balance. So the buyer can cancel anytime they want, but the seller can't. You have things like earnest money. They don't put earnest money. For the newbies that don't know what earnest money is basically almost like like Jerry calls it the insurance policy for the homeowner. So if you put a property under contract, in order for your contract to be legal and enforceable, again, guys, full disclosure, I'm not an attorney, so you consult your own attorney. But in order for it to be legal and enforceable, you have to put an amount on the contract and send that amount, right, to the title company to show the seller that you're a serious buyer, that you're committed to performing on the deal. Or in case you cancel, that actually, rewards the seller for you wasting their time for 10 days, 15 days, 35 days, whatever. And a lot of wholesalers, this company included, they go in and they put zero on the contract. They put zero earnest money, literally on the contract. They put zero earnest money, and they don't send any money to escrow at all. And some wholesalers, which is, by the way, this is one of the issues caused by the gurus. Over 50% of gurus are from Arizona in this industry. The shit they teach, a lot of these gurus, the shit they teach is incredibly unethical, period, guys. But again, self-accountability comes to play. You do have to use your own brain. For somebody to scam you, at some point, you did participate in the scam. You ignored red flags, right? You didn't use your brain. You didn't think. You just followed. You didn't look at the person and say, okay, what this person is telling me right now, does it ethically align with me as a person? The strategy they're teaching me, does it align with me as a person? A lot of people I've noticed in this industry, when they join a mentorship, they become fanatics. It become almost like a freaking sect. Almost, they don't want to talk to anybody outside of that mentorship, right? So they're so like laser, so they don't want to hear anything else. Like they can't use their brains, literally, right? And so with that being said, guys, even though the gurus are wrong for teaching certain things, but we're also wrong. We are also wrong for taking it and then applying it without thinking, without consulting. Because I know for me, with this real estate stuff, I've learned more from my local attorney in Maryland when I started than I've learned from anybody. He's an attorney, 40 plus years, have done cash deals, creative finance deals. I remember when I called him and having a conversation with him, I had him review all my contracts that I've gotten through any mentorship I've joined and make sure that they actually comply with my local laws in my local states. And a lot of them, He crossed them all red, 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 red. Don't use this one. You're going to go to jail. Don't use that language. You're going to go to jail. Don't use this. You're going to go to jail. No, don't do that strategy. You're going to go to jail. Right? Just simple logic. Simple logic. Jim Rohn said it best. He said, be a student, not a follower. Be a student, not a follower. So anybody who's doing something unethical, but they learn it from somebody else, yes, you can blame the person for teaching it to you, but also blame yourself. Okay. Also blame yourself for hey, what's up, bro? Also blame yourself for taking it and applying it. Okay, guys. So, guys, I'm telling you guys right now, there is so many strategies that I can't even go over all of it here. There's so many strategies that have been invented within the real estate wholesaling to give people cop-out mechanisms, right? The people that are too afraid to call a homeowner, for example, they've started sub strategies. Some of them became full-time transaction coordinators because they're afraid to call a homeowner. They just want to do transaction coordinating, for example, to make money off of that. But sometimes they're touching files that are supposed to be done by an attorney, not by a transaction coordinator. They've never closed a deal. They don't know that, right? You have questionable lending practices taking place because somebody is too afraid to make a call to a motivated seller, negotiate them. And so they decide, you know what, it's way easier for me to call Mamadou and then try to lend him $1,000, but I want him to give me back in 3 months, $2,500. Right? Essentially, this is transactional funding on steroids. My attorney, I remember when I told him about this strategy, he's like, Mama, do you want to go to jail? I said, no. He said, don't do it. It's funny because I've done one time just because I'm a monkey see, monkey do type of person to try the strategy. And just ethically, I hated it. Ethically, I hated it. The guy that I lended the money, I had to foreclose on it, literally. So I hated it ethically. So I'm like, no, this is not for me. This is not for me. I'm not going to do this. I hate it. I don't want to hear about the strategy. Don't care about it, right? But it's bunch of cop-out mechanism from, people that don't want to make the calls, but they do want to make money in real estate. So, okay, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. You have people that are literally, on the gray line of being non-licensed loan officers, going around doing loan officer work, but they don't have a loan officer's license. Why? Because they're too afraid or don't have the work ethic or the discipline to just keep calling homeowners and negotiating them and then getting into the real estate game and becoming an investor, basically, right? It's too much work. Of course, it's too much work. Everything is too much work, right? And so you have that, guys. So the mentality, I'm telling you guys, the mentality within the wholesaling industry definitely needs cleaning. It is the mentality, the issue. If they would just add a simple thing like you need credit to get into real estate wholesaling, that's going to already weed out 90% of people. Just credit. You need credit. You cannot do wholesaling without credit. But now they're going above and beyond. So there is another practice that happens in real estate wholesaling that got included in this indictment, guys. It is when most wholesalers put a seller under contract, they go the next day to the county and file what is called a memorandum. If you guys don't know what a memorandum is basically you being afraid that the seller will go behind your back, try to sell the property to somebody else, even though they already signed with you, okay? Or somebody called them after you, made them maybe $100 more offer higher than yours, and they're gonna accept that offer and call you and cancel. And because you're afraid of that, you go to the county where the property is located and you file a memorandum to cloud the title of that homeowner's property that now stops them from closing with anybody else except you, regardless whether your numbers is right, regardless whether you have the money lined up to actually close. And I'll be honest with you guys, that's what I'm saying. When I started in the beginning, I bought into all this garbage that was taught by these gurus, and we've done it luckily. Luckily, we've never had an issue to where we couldn't close. But just reflecting back is like, if you just use a little bit of logic, you start thinking, maybe I shouldn't do that. Maybe I shouldn't do that. Like if a homeowner don't want to work with you, why force them? Why force them? or maybe just learn to be a better negotiator, learn to have more of a upfront contract with the homeowner, communicate more, follow up more, build more rapport to where they don't have the need or the want to go behind you anyway. There's so many deals we've done with homeowners that became personal relationships, and our offer was the lowest offer, not the best offer. It was the lowest offer. It had nothing to do with the offer. It had to do with the rapport, the confidence that they had that we're going to close, the consistent communication, the going above and beyond to care for them, going, bringing U-Hauls, helping them move, finding an apartment for them, finding a hotel for them, going above and beyond, helping them move their stuff. That what made the deal happen. Nobody could call those homeowners and take the contract from us. Nobody, right? And so you have that's included in there, guys. The fact that these people, every house they had under contract, they went and filed memorandum, so their contracts was done wrong. Guys, avoid. Oh, there you go. Azul said we might have to go through a few different scenarios to learn. Yeah, absolutely, bro. What you call it? The contracts. Avoid going online and downloading these free purchase and sale agreements, guys. It's not worth the risk. And nowadays, the people that are getting into the industry now, because the regulations is hitting now, heavy now, right? Maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, you might not have to watch out for this, but nowadays, even worse. Avoid, even if you're doing a joint venture with a wholesaler or you're buying a deal from a wholesaler, you better make sure, by the way, again, full disclosure, I'm not an attorney, this is not legal advice. But if you're buying a deal from a wholesaler you don't know from Adam's cats, even you as a buyer, you better make sure that you know exactly what kind of contracts they put in place to get their contract. See what language they have in there, or have your attorney do that. See what promises they've made to the seller. Did they disclose, if the local laws requires them to disclose that they're wholesaling the property, did they do that? Because if they ever end up in a lawsuit, you by default, you will be included just because you're part of the transaction. So all of those things, guys, the language you use, the contract you use, filing memorandums, going after pre-foreclosures. That's what I was going to say about Maryland, guys. Now we're only active mostly in mostly in Georgia and Texas, guys. So these states are not yet dealing with it, especially Texas. But when I was in Maryland, I remember my attorney telling me, hey, you cannot directly market to a pre-foreclosure homeowner. Not only you cannot market to them directly, but if you ever talk to them, you cannot bring up the foreclosure. I'm talking about it, saying, hey, I was calling you about your property on 123 Main Street. I see you have an auction coming up. You can't do that by law. You, the buyer, also on that property, you cannot be involved in helping them whatsoever. You cannot be involved in helping them whatsoever, right? Avoiding that auction. Yeah, you can't, Azul. You can't. Is against the law. If you talk to a homeowner and they want to do whatever, there's so many different options for a homeowner to avoid foreclosure. But most of these options actually normally requires a licensed attorney in order to do so. So if they want to keep their home or they want to do something to stop the auction or whatever, they better go and talk to an attorney. And you, the buyer, especially in states like Maryland, you better not be involved in helping them in anything, in helping them in a loan modification, in helping them doing a bankruptcy, in helping them all this. You better stay away. My attorney told me this point blank period when I first started. Now, here's a trick that I use for all of you newbies. If you're watching me and you just started in this industry, guys, here's a trick that I've done when I started my journey, right? This is just pure logic, right? I grew up in a refugee camp, guys, from the age of 11 to the age of 16, raised myself. So, I've been through this smart shit. I do use my brain, right? When I started real estate wholesaling, I said, you know what? I have to use a title company anyway. And the title companies that do my closing, they typically always have an in-house attorney. Right? To close on your real estate transactions. So what I decided to do is to call the title companies, I think I called like 6 or 7 before I found the right one with Michael Gross. By the way, I'm about to do another episode with him. And because all of the others, when I was asking them about the strategies that I'm doing, what I noticed is the attorney itself. So what I would do, guys, I would call in and say, hey, I'm looking for a title company to work with. I am negotiating properties off market all day long, and I want to bring business to you guys. That's what I used to do, right? And so when I asked the the escrow officer to speak to the attorney, so I always ask them, because they want your business, guys. That's what title companies are in the business of, obviously closing real estate transactions to make money. And so I will ask the escrow officer to let me talk to the attorney itself. I don't want to talk to the escrow officer. Most escrow officers, guys, are clueless in title companies. Clueless, completely clueless. They're like an admin assistant, 50%, no, maybe 45% competent. So I want to talk to the attorney, because he's the attorney that actually handles the legal paperwork in the back end, blah, blah. So when the attorney picks up, well, I tell them exactly what I'm doing. Hey, I'm doing real estate wholesaling, and then I'm doing creative finance, blah, blah. Do you guys close on these deals? And if you're closing on them, like, how does it work? Is there any local laws that I need to be aware of? Do you have any templates of contracts you can share with me, right? If they start mumbling and, like, I already know this is not an attorney I want to work with. They have no idea what they're doing. That was my metric. So what I started to do, because I've had, I think, 2 bad experiences with title companies where somebody just referred them to me. I send them an agreement. We go to escrow, and it was a shit show. I'm like, I'm tired of this. I need a title company that is competent. And it's because I'm bringing them business, I'm going to interview them. I'm going to interview them before I bring them business. And I think it was the 6th or the 7th was my lucky number. I landed on Michael Gross. And this guy, you guys can literally hear his passion for real estate closings from the first sentence that he, uttered from his mouth. Literally, guys. 45 minutes, I think, or maybe 2 hours, we're sitting there talking, and he told me everything about the real estate in Maryland, how it works, what to watch out for when it comes to the pre-foreclosures, how he closed mechanically the creative finance deals. He even told me the history of creative finance, where he told me that creative finance, so subject to owner finance, these strategies are older than the US Constitution itself. It came from England. So he gave me the whole thing. I'm like, okay, this is the attorney I want. This guy be probably in the library every single day reading fucking law books. This is the guy I want. I'm like, okay, I found my attorney. So every single time I had something, guess what? Even on the marketing side, guys, I'll call him and speak to him. And then if he tells me how to handle the strategy that I'm trying to do, I will literally use what he explained to me. I'll use it on my sales calls. I'll use it on my call with sellers to explain exactly what I'm trying to accomplish. I've done the subject tools, doing the subtels. I'm not going over all these strategies, what they mean, guys. You can check out my playlist, my creative finance playlist. I've done the novations. He taught me how to do all of them the right way in Maryland. And he even taught me how to speak to the seller on the phone when I'm talking to the homeowner, how to explain it. Literally, Michael Gross. Okay, guys. So he's going to avoid you guys. If you're just getting started and you market into Texas, well, find an attorney first to work with. Find an attorney. They're not gonna charge you to answer your questions. They do want your business. They don't want to see you in legal trouble, right? And so if you go to them, you say, I'm gonna bring you guys all my closings. Can you tell me, okay, I'm gonna do this. Is there a gray line? Most of them will, if they know their stuff. By the way, there's a lot of title companies, guys, that don't know nothing about what they're doing. Nothing at all. One thing I've learned about the US, and I've spent 17 years of my life in Europe, guys. One thing I've learned about the US, it is not because somebody has a license that means they know their job. Most people in the US that have licenses don't know nothing about their jobs. That includes CPAs, that include closing attorneys, that include litigation attorneys, that include freaking real estate agents. It's not because somebody have a license that means they know what they're doing. You have to interview them, you have to ask them questions, and you have to listen closely to how they're answering your questions to see, are they fumbling? Are they mumbling? Do they always have to go look for an answer before they answer your question, but they're supposed to be the professional? Does that make sense, guys? They're coming heavy. They're coming heavy, guys. So one of the ways to avoid this issue, guys, it is a strategy called double closing. Double closing, because what they're saying, one of the things they're accusing wholesalers of is stripping equity. That one though is nonsense. Stripping equity. What they're saying is, well, wholesalers are going around and stealing equity on homeowners' homes and stealing their dreams. If you don't know what equity is the difference between what a homeowner owes on their property and what they can sell the property for. So if a property is worth $400,000, but $400,000, but the homeowner only owes to Wells Fargo $300,000. Technically, if they put it on the market and they sell it they get a full offer for the $400,000, right, guys? Technically, they have $100,000 in equity. The difference between 300 and 400 is $100,000. If you guys want to know what determines the value of a property, what determines the value of a property is a willing seller and a willing buyer that comes together, and the buyer performs on the number they offered. Technically, you can list your property at any price you want. Unless it closes, it's not worth that. Unless it closes at that price. Okay, guys? So that's the equity. The equity, and I like to use gross equity and net equity. So the money that you walk away with is after all the fees. Okay, guys? So what they're saying is wholesalers are stripping that off of homeowners, which is trash, because when you're doing real estate wholesaling, most homeowners you deal with, those houses, real estate agents don't want to put that on the market. Those houses are a shit show. They need full gut renovations. They're falling apart. A house only have equity if it's fixed up and you can put it on the MLS and sell it to a family that can move in. Like right now, we have a property on the market. We got a full offer. It's a brand new product. Is a property with fully renovated, full renovations. We put it on the market. The buyer don't have to come in and do anything. They don't have to change the carpet. They don't have to paint nothing. Right? So I deserve my equity there because I renovated the house. But these homeowners, 99.9% of them, they don't have the money to keep up with their mortgage. They don't have the money to fix up the house. So they don't have the money to fix up the house to get it to a standard where a homestead buyer will come and buy it for the full potential market value and put a lot of cash in their pockets. Plus, a lot of them don't want the property on the market anyway. They're ashamed that their neighbor will see how shitty their house is. So they don't even want to deal. You guys be surprised how many freaking homeowners statistically hate real estate agents. They don't want to deal with them. They don't want to talk to a real estate agent. They don't want to list with a real estate agent. So they're okay selling off market with speed and convenience. The problem arises is most gurus have taught real estate wholesalers to just go out and flat out lie. Tell homeowners you're the buyer. You got $1 million in your bank account. You will be taking down the property. And most wholesalers don't care, how to put a property on the contract. It doesn't matter if the numbers work. They just wing it. And there's a lot of homeowners on the pre-foreclosure side that lost homes at the auction. Why? Because the wholesaler was a dummy enough to go put them under contract and they don't know their numbers and they couldn't dispose the property on a timely manner, right? So, and now we transition into the creative finance. There is a couple of files, I think it's 2 or 3 of them that are included in this indictment here, guys, and about the subject to, and they've done subject to transactions on those files. Subject to is when you buy a property, you convince the homeowner to leave the existing debt that they have in place, to leave it in place under name and credit, and you transfer title. So you, the buyer, you own the property, but the debt stays on the seller's credit and it stays on the seller's name. You don't cash it out. You just keep making those monthly payments. That's what subject to is, right? They're coming heavy on those as well, especially if you do it on FHAs in most of those states. Most title companies won't even close subject tos if it's a FHA. There is reasons for that, and I'm going to talk about that on my next episode with attorney Michael Gross. I'm going to ask him the question specifically so he can tell us why legally. I kind of know why with the underwriters and all that fun stuff, but we're not getting into it. But subject tos, that's the idea, guys. Now, imagine you as a wholesaler. This is actually what I hate about even that strategy being now so mainstream with wholesalers in general. And the reason for that is, as I said, most wholesalers don't care how they make it $10,000. They don't care who they're taking advantage of. They don't care, right? And so if me, Mamadou, I call a homeowner and I negotiate with the homeowner, I build rapport with the homeowner, I negotiate with them and I put them under contract via subject to, who are they trusting with that property and the credit. They're trusting me. And if I've never disclosed to them that I'm going to sell it off to somebody else, I'm going to wholesale the deal. And imagine now down the line, the buyer that I've assigned the terms to defaults on their loan. That happened to me on one property, one subject to deal that I've wholesaled. Luckily for me, 100% of my subject to deals, I kept them myself. I didn't wholesale them. I've wholesaled one or maybe two, but one of them, I think it's 2 years later. This is how I keep relationship with my sellers. 2 years later, this seller was still contacting me, telling me that the buyer defaulted. The buyer haven't paid the mortgage, and so she's getting calls. Her credit is on the line now. She's tired of it, blah, blah. Now, one of the things here, guys, is one of those homeowners that somebody negotiated the homeowner subject to, sold it off to another buyer. That buyer defaulted, and now the homeowner is suing, and that became a whole thing now. Now, behind the scenes, I'm telling you guys right now, behind the scenes, I know a lot of real estate folks that I used to interact with, that I've met in real estate events, or I've done Zooms with, or I've done deals with, that I know in the background. They might not say it on camera because they're too much of, and I call them sissies, period. Because guys, going through challenges happens to everybody. Like, you cannot be a bitch about it. Like, fall down, get up, and redo it again. But they will not come online and tell you guys that they're stuck with properties they cannot offload subject to. Why? Because the idea of going out and taking properties subject to that don't have equity whatsoever, we call them low equity, became a whole thing, became a whole strategy, so you have a bunch of newbies that are non-capitalized. When I say non-capitalized, meaning they don't have excess cash. If you take down a rental property, because oftentimes on those subject to deals, guys, people do what they do is buy and holds. It's seldom that you run into a subject to deal and it has enough equity for you to flip it. That happened to me on a couple of properties where we've done subtails. So we flipped the property, we took it over subject to and flipped it, and then we did novations, right? But oftentimes, what end up happening? Thank you so much, Familia. Oftentimes, what end up happening with subject twos is that they don't have equity at all, and the strategy is typically to keep them as buy and holds. When I say buy and holds, guys, I'm talking about rentals. It doesn't matter whether you do Airbnb, it doesn't matter whether you do midterm rentals, it doesn't matter whether you do co-living. As long as you keep it in a rental buy and hold portfolio, typically, Azul, exactly. Eventually, you need to take care of water heater. Exactly. You understand? So if you take down the property and you don't have at least $50,000 of disposable funds. And again, guys, as I said, when we all start, we don't know what we don't know. But at some point, you got to learn and use your brain. Because this happened to me on maybe if I have to go back, I would not rush like I've rushed to take down properties, for example. I would not. But I was listening to the wrong gurus, just like most of you right now. There's nothing wrong with it. But at some point, you got to snap out. At some point, guys, you got to snap out of the matrix. At some point, you got to snap out and use your brains. At some point, you're going to be like, oh, shit. This guy is just selling me a mentorship ticket right now, because everything he's telling me right now is garbage. It might be good for him. It might be good for them because their mentorship is making 10 million a month. Their course is online. These people have been in business for since they're 15. Okay. They've owned, they own dozens other businesses that are bringing them shitload of cash. So for them, if they take down a low equity deal, a property that doesn't have equity, even if that property is not cash flowing, is not performing, they don't care, because all they care about is the tax write-offs. So for them, it works. For them, that strategy is a good strategy. They got shitload of cash. But the newbie that just started 1 year ago, 2 years ago, 6 months ago, maybe even two years ago, most of us, you haven't built enough cash, excess. When I say disposable cash, guys, I'm talking about after all your expenses, after everything you need to leave, you have $50,000 just sitting there, or $100,000 even. If you don't have that, one AC unit going off on your rental, $5,500, can literally put you in a freaking bankruptcy or pre-foreclosure state. One. Now mix that with, like most of us when we start, we don't differentiate what is a great state to invest in, blue state versus red state. Like I've learned the hard way, even though I love the blue color behind me, stay away from a lot of blue states because the laws are for the tenants. You don't own your property. So like Maryland, for example, I have two properties currently. One of them I am foreclosing on. I'm taking back the house and selling it. It's been 9 months. That guy haven't paid me. You cannot get an appointment to evict the person. But when they complain, the county call you. There's another property. I think the lady haven't paid us for 1 year in Baltimore. Can't get her out. Why? Because the laws in those states are for who? For the tenants, not you, the landlord. So I've learned the hard way. You know what? Stay away from freaking blue states because I want to own my house. So stay away from California. Stay away from freaking New York. Stay away from freaking most counties in Maryland. Is blue states. It's not worth it. And now add to that. Now the AC unit goes off. So you have a mix of a tenant not paying you. You have a mortgage to pay every single month that you promise the seller you're going to pay. And then add to that, you cannot evict, even though you're paying an attorney every single day. Every single time you have an appointment to go to court to evict the person, what happens the day before is that they postpone your appointment, you, the landlord, they postpone it for another 6 months. Right? And so you're just bleeding. Add to that, most people that join real estate wholesaling only close a deal every 6 months. And so where are you getting the money to keep making the mortgage payments and then repairing the AC unit? Because legally you cannot leave your tenant without AC in the house, but the tenant can stay in your house without paying. You see where I'm going with it, guys? That's the issue. So that's number one. Number two, people got too excited about the low equity deals because the low equity deals is a lot of real estate agents that were stuck with properties on the MLS that they have listed from homeowners, but those properties don't have equity because they've been bought within the last 3 years. They've been bought within the last 3 years when interest rates went up, when interest rates went from 3% to 7%. So most of those properties, the homeowners that are selling it, they're actually selling it because they just realized, oh shit, when the government was printing the stimulus checks where everybody was making money, I thought I'm going to be fine. But you know what? I'm tired of this mortgage and it's only been a year. It's only been a year. I can't even go buy a Dunkin' because I'm stuck with a mortgage on a single family. So I got to let the property go. So it's turnkey properties. And so one of the strategies that got popularized is, oh, well, listen, how about we ignore the golden rule of real estate since real estate have been invented, which is if you buy a piece of real estate, even if you're going to live in it, the number one golden rule normally is that you're wanting it to be an investment. By investment, by definition, I mean the property either have equity from day one, or two, you're buying it in a location. This is why they use a lot the term location in real estate, where the property is going to appreciate within a small amount of years. If you buy it for $300 today, for example, well, the property is going to be worth maybe $390,000 in 3 to 4 years. You can build equity and then take that money and do whatever you want with it. Or if you keep it for 30 years, then the house is paid off, and now maybe your kids can inherit that. If they don't like school, they can refinance it, take the money, start a business, whatever. No, let's ignore that. There's this strategy that every single guru on YouTube is talking about, and it's called Airbnb. Guys, there is dozens and dozens of newbie real estate investors, and I call them newbie. Anybody, including me, guys, I'm a newbie. Anybody who haven't been in real estate for, I would say 15 years plus, just consider yourself newbie because there's so many things to learn every single day. You meet some OGs that have been doing this since the 70s. You'll be like, shit, I haven't done shit yet. I still got so much to learn, right? But wholesalers get arrogant after 3 deals, after wholesaling 3 deals. You don't know shit about real estate yet. You haven't been through the ringer. You haven't been through a crash. You haven't been through a market that is a shit show. Because when the market is good, when interest rate is good, when first-time home buyers are buying properties left and right for over asking, guess what? Everybody's making money. You're not a genius. Everybody's making money. Where you know who's a professional is when the market compress. When the market compress, when shit shifts, when bread goes from $1 to $7, when millions of people lose jobs, when people stop traveling. And so the Airbnb got popularized in a way where, and especially with these Airbnb arbitrage gurus. I hate these Airbnb arbitrage gurus. What arbitrage is, guys, you have a bunch of folks that do Airbnb, but they're too much of freaking shitty negotiators. They cannot convince a homeowner, right, to sell them the property. They cannot negotiate. So what they do instead, they lease the property. So they are essentially a tenant. and then they sublease the property on Airbnb. It's called Airbnb arbitrage. There is dozens and dozens of them that been handed their asses on this market. Bunch of properties vacant, completely lost everything, had to take all their furniture, put it in warehouses. Why? Because the economy shifted. The average person right now cannot afford to travel. He can barely afford bread, let alone travel and book an Airbnb in most locations where when the market was good, you could take your grandma's house in the average neighborhood, not a tourist neighborhood, in the average neighborhood, put carpet and paint and put your grandma's picture on the wall and put it on Airbnb and get a booking. Right? Now is not the case. But at that time, one of the strategies that got popularized again in real estate wholesaling, in the wholesaling industry, is, hey guys, we can target those low equity deals with the real estate agents cannot sell on the market. And then you don't care about the equity. Forget about the equity. I know the properties don't have equity, but you can turn them into Airbnb and you can cash flow. As long as you cash flow. A wave of people bought into it, including me when I first time when I heard it. Sounded good in the beginning. But one thing I realized quickly is, hold on. Airbnb is a freaking seasonal business model. If you're not in a location where the demographic familia, I'm curious to hear what you're hearing from different people. What you call it? If your Airbnb is not in a location where the demographic, your clientele that will book your Airbnb, if it's not a demographic that don't need government assistance, don't need stimulus checks to travel. So if it's not the higher upper middle class, if it's not a location, if it's not a location where people travel to from January to freaking November, you're guaranteed out of the year. And guys, at some point I had about maybe 5 to 6 Airbnbs. So I'm not talking theory here. I've done them. Right? What's gonna end up happening is your property is only getting booked probably 3 to 4 months out of the year. The rest of the year, the property is freaking vacant because you went in the average neighborhood where it's not where that destination was only attracting people that need the government to travel, people that wait for stimulus checks, people that don't have jobs. Call them low income folks. And now that the economy is bad, interest rate is 7%, the government is no longer printing stimulus checks. Guess who's not traveling? The average Joe that needs government assistance to buy a home. They're not traveling. They're not buying homes. They're not buying groceries. It's just a reality, guys. It's just an observation. And so you have a bunch of these Airbnbs that are freaking empty. Here's the number one problem that arises. I've read a book, guys. Everybody should pick up that book. It's by Sam Zell. He's a billionaire in real estate. He's a real estate developer, billionaire in real estate. Right? I think he recently passed away. And the book is called "Am I Being Too Subtle?" And in that book, he talks about something that I adopted at some point, but I had to learn it the hard way. He says he never buys a real estate deal unless that deal can pencil out for at least 3 different exit strategies. What does that mean? That means if he's buying a property, he will never look at that property and go, "Oh, I can flip it." No. If he can only flip it, and in case the fix and flip go wrong, so fix and flip might be his plan A, exit plan A, but after that, he will look at it as a buy and hold and go, okay, let's say hypothetically I start flipping the property and in the middle of the renovations, interest rates go from 3 to 7%. Nobody's buying a home. Can I keep the property and be able to rent it positively? You see? So, and if he pencils out, then he go, okay, so now I have option A, option B. Option C, what else? Can I refinance? Whatever. So he always wants 3 different exit strategy on any deal that he does. I'm like, man, that's gangster. That right there is straight gangster. Now with these low equity deals, guys, the problem is, and I'll show you guys here the house that I'm foreclosing on right now as I'm speaking to you guys. I've done paying for the foreclosure process. I'm getting the house back and I am selling it on the market. Let me show you guys this property right here. So you guys know I'm not just over here talking about this property right here, guys. Can you guys see my screen? Can you guys confirm for me if you can see my screen? Can you guys confirm for me if you can see my screen? No. Can you guys see my screen? Confirm for me, La Familia. La Familia says, I meant in terms of the market, my investor mentor is buying more. A close hard money lender is saying market is bad. As a realtor, I always have positive minds. I love that, Familia. I love that. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Listen, every market have opportunities. Every single market. You just have to adjust. Depending on what's going on with the interest rates and stuff, you just have to adjust certain things. But there is always opportunities. So, at Familia, that's the mindset to keep. Actually, bad markets just get rid of the people that have zero passion for this game. They're not committed. They give up soon as they only want to do it when times is good. That's why I call them fly-by-nighters. That's what they're called. Fly-by-nighters, overnight, get rich quick scheme type of mentality type of people. Okay. So keep that mindset, bro. That's exactly the mindset. So look at this property, guys. I am currently foreclosing on this property. I bought it subject to, then I finance it to a homeowner. And oh, sorry guys. I don't know how it's coming out. Blurry is very clear on my end. So I don't know why it's coming out blurry. That's weird. Let's see. Boom, 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 boom. When it's enlarged. How do I do this? No. Yeah, sorry guys. It's okay. It's 123 Eileen Road, Glen Burnie, Maryland. Okay. Glen Burnie, Maryland. That's where the property is located. Now, I bought this property subject to. Okay, guys, I bought this property subject to. Here's the deal with the subject twos and the problem with the low equities. If you have low equity on the deal and you bought it subject to, you have a couple of risks. Especially, like I said, the strategies that have been popularized was Airbnb. When Airbnb was working, everybody's like, let me ignore equity on the property. Let me not care about equity at all. Let me take down the property, even if it's a negative equity, even if it cash flow negative as a traditional rental. What do I mean by traditional rental? Is when you put a regular family and you give them like a 12-month lease. I'm talking about traditional because people will always be able to rent, right? So even though it cash flows, so the mortgage on a monthly basis is over the market rent in that area, but it works as Airbnb. Oh, let me just keep it without realizing long-term. Thank you. Long-term rental. Without realizing that Airbnb can stop after 3 months. You can get bookings for 3 months. And then the next freaking 7 months, you have zero bookings. So you just bleeding money. You just pay money, right? So that's one of the risks you run into. Number two, one of the risks you run into is what we called the due on sale when you buy property subject to. What is the due on sale? The due on sale is, guys, every homeowner that goes through the bank, which is 99.9% of people in the US, go through the bank, you get financing to buy a home. Well, in those documents, the bank have a clause called due on sale, meaning if you sell the property, technically the note, the money that the lender you, Mamadou, is due. You have to cash it out, right? Now, this is not like something that is obligatory. So you can sell the house subject to, leave that loan in place and transfer title. That's not the issue right here, right? I've had this conversation with Michael Gross on exactly on this to see, okay, is this illegal or are you just breaching a contract? It's absolutely legal. That's not the issue. The issue is the bank reserved the right to go, okay, and that happened to me on this property, guys. This is Wells Fargo that I have a loan on. The bank reserved the right to call you if you buy that property subject to and go, hey, Mamadou, we saw you bought 123 Main Street. We see you're on title, but we didn't lend you the money. We lended John, the seller. Is John that gave us his credit? Is John that gave us his pay stubs? Is John that walked to the bank to give us his credentials, whatever? Is John that we did a background checks on? We don't know who you are. We didn't lend you this money. So we want you to pay it off. They can call the note due. They can say pay it off, call the note due. If that happens, and that almost happened to me on this property, luckily I had my papers correct. But let's say hypothetically, even with that, the bank pushed and say, we are going to enforce it. You have to pay off. The only two solutions you have in order to get that loan off of the seller's name is to either refinance the property, Because if you do what is called a refinance, then the loan is cashed out and now you have a new loan. Okay. No, Azul, on the subject to, you don't assume the loan. Loan assumptions is a different strategy than subject to. Subject to, you don't assume the loan. The loan stays on the seller's name. That's the difference between subject to and loan assumptions. Okay. So if the bank says you have to pay it off, regardless that you've been paying the mortgage on time, regardless that you've closed legally with a title company, they have the right to say, you know what, Mamadou, we don't care. We don't care. We don't like your exotic accent. So we're gonna enforce it. No problem. Now you have to do something about it because they can foreclose on the property unless you refinance it or sell it. Those are the only two options for you to get out. You refinance or you sell it, or there's another third way, which is a little bit more complicated for most people because most people don't know how to keep a relationship. You could technically revert the property back to the owner, do another closing where you do the same strategy, but you don't transfer title. This time you leave the title on the owner's name and that solves the problem. But here's the deal. Most homeowners that get out of these properties, guys, what was their number one issue? The number one issue is, hey, Mamadou, are you sure? If you buy this property will never come back to me again because I'm tired of it. It's a nightmare. I regret taking the debt. I regret buying a single family. I should have bought a multifamily. This is trash. I'm out. I just want to rent and live my life. I'm having anxiety and depression because of debt. I'm out. And so when you call them now and you want to revert a property back to them, they're like, I thought you told me I'm out of this, blah, blah. Okay, guys, here's the issue. Imagine now you've taken down a property that is low equity, that has zero equity whatsoever. How are you going to sell it? Because for all of you here that have never sold a property, I'm telling you right now, to sell a home costs about 8% in the US. You, the owner of the house, if you take it, you hire a real estate agent, you put it on the market to sell it, is going to cost you, if you list it for $400,000, you're going to pay 8% of fees just to sell your home right off the top. Right off the top. Okay, guys? So imagine you've bought a house subject to, and the house was worth $400,000, but the owner owes $380,000 on the property, and you've come up with the subject to solution, knowing full well that this property, the only strategy you have is Airbnb, and now Airbnb stopped working in the back end or the due on sale get called on you. You don't have any equity because if you list that property to sell it, you are going to have to write a check just to close on your property. That's the problem with the low equities. This is the problem that dozens and dozens of newbies are stuck right now with a bunch of portfolios they cannot offload, they cannot refinance, and they cannot sell. And they're going through foreclosure. I promise you guys, I'm getting the DMs, I'm getting the TikToks, I'm getting the messages. They're just not going to say it on camera because a lot of them, obviously, they don't want to talk about it just because, everybody's built different, right? Everybody's built different. But that's the issue with the low equity. Now you're stuck with a property that there's nothing you can do because you don't have equity. You've broken, and I'm sorry, guys, this is a garbage strategy that have been taught within the industry and made so popular that most newbies, because we don't think, we haven't been through the school of hard knocks. You know what I'm saying? Like we follow, instead of being students, we follow people. We don't realize that the most people that are teaching us these strategies, it works for them. They're already multi-millionaires, or they're not even doing real estate. They're just making mentorship money. So whatever, right? So you go apply these strategies and you don't even have $20,000 in your bank account, and now you cannot sell the home. You're stuck with it. You cannot flip it. You cannot rent it. You cannot refinance it. You cannot do nothing with it because you took down a low equity deal. You got excited about Airbnbs. Exactly. We get triggered, happy, and get and get excited. That is a fact. That is a fact. So this is what's happening with this industry, guys. This is what's happening with this industry. So the regulations are great. They can bring it on. They're fantastic. I'm hoping they're gonna add on top of that you need good credit to wholesale. Literally, guys. I'm hoping they're gonna do that. Now, the solutions, guys, I'm gonna say here is, if you are wholesaling in states where the local laws clearly states that you shouldn't be wholesaling without a license and you should be disclosing, Just start double closing, take down the properties, become an investor. How do you do that? Simple. Get your shit together. Go build a relationship with hard money lenders. Get your credit right, 650 and above, and get pre-approved for these loans. For these loans, guys, get pre-approved for these loans so that when you have a property under contract and the deal makes sense for your cash buyer, you can close on it with with transactional funding. Close on it, do double closing. So you close with the seller, so you are the true buyer. You close on it, you take title, and then you sell it afterwards. You're an investor. You don't need to like overthink it. So that's probably one of the best ways to stay out of gray lines. When I say gray lines, meaning because some of these laws also, you guys need to know that, and I think they do that on purpose. Even my attorney told me this, is they use such vague language that is so easy. There you go, familiar. That is so easy for them to pin you down for anything because the language is so vague. So unless you avoid the gray lines to where, I don't know, should I be doing it? Should I not be doing it? Right now, I'm not sure what this language is saying. Well, stay away from it altogether. And all the people with the mindset of I'm always going to find a back door instead of just going through the front door, just go through the front door. Just go through the front door. They say you need a license, get a freaking license. It doesn't hurt you. A license is actually an extra tool, especially if you're marketing and they say you need a license. Now, guess what? You become a one-stop shop because if you talk to a homeowner that actually their property should be on the MLS, you don't need to refer them to another agent because you're the agent. You can list it for them. You're a one-stop shop. So it's just an extra tool you can use for your tool belt. Doesn't cost you anything. Any dummy can go get a freaking license because 99.9% of real estate agents don't know nothing about real estate. They have no idea what real estate is. Anybody can go get the license in freaking a week. That's how easy it is, right? So complying with, if they say, hey, disclose that you're a wholesaler when you call the homeowner, tell the homeowner. You know what's funny, guys, is that being honest with a homeowner actually build rapport more than trying to. So just telling the homeowner straightforward, hey, listen, I'm actually not the buyer. I'm just the person that negotiate these deals. And I bring it to my friend Tom or my friend Joanne that buys these properties from me and they do pay me. So I'm looking to make as much as I can for bringing them this opportunity. Done. That's it. There's a lot of homeowners, they're going to respect that. They're going to look at you like, oh, okay, no problem. I understand. You should get paid for your work. And I like you, so get paid. Happens on, I don't know how many deals. Right? Or you can do it virtually in in a state where there's no regulations whatsoever. But guys, one thing I'm going to say, if I have to go back with real estate wholesaling, I promise you guys, graduate as fast as you can. What I mean by graduating, if you're wholesaling, literally, I've never called myself a wholesaler. Day one, anybody that have ever met me in the beginning, my first year, they would tell you, I used to cuss people for calling me a wholesaler. And the reason for that, it was just a mindset thing for me. It was a mindset because I knew this real estate stuff, it clicked and I'm committed to it. It doesn't matter how many years it's going to take to make it in this industry. I am committed to the game, if that makes sense. It became a passion. So graduate fast. If I have to go back, I am probably wholesaling only 1 to 2 properties max before I start taking down properties and flipping them myself. We just did this exercise where we went back and looked at all the properties we've wholesaled, where we made the $15,000, where we made the $20,000, where we made the $10,000, where we made the $5,000. If we actually would have just closed on these deals and sold them on the MLS, or if we would have flipped those properties ourselves, we probably left over $1 million cash in those deals, literally, guys, by just not becoming the investor. So why not graduate faster? The US guys, and I'm telling you this, guys, as a guy that have spent years of my life in Europe, the US banking system is the most simple in the freaking world. All they're saying is, bro, get your shit together, get a good credit, and the doors are open for you. If you find a beat up home and the numbers pencil out and you're buying it for 75% of its value, we're going to finance you with even loans that don't even reflect on your personal credit, like DSCRs. At that point, all you have to learn is how do I hire a general contractor? You can find somebody to refer you that, or you can join venture with somebody. That's how I did my first fix and flip. I went and put a property under contract. Then I found a local fix and flipper in my local market in Clinton, Maryland. And I told him, hey, I already have the property under contract, so you don't have to go buy the property. I just want you to bring the renovation money and then bring your expertise in terms of having a general contractor managing the project. I just want to learn, and we do a profit split in the back end. Remember, guys, 100% of zero is zero. 100% of zero is zero, right? So after the second deal, technically, let's say you don't have good credit. After the second deal, after you make 20K, why not take a portion of that money? If you have bad credit, go fix your damn credit. It costs you less than a Starbucks. Get your credit score to 650 and up. And then go look for the next project where you are going to flip it yourself. You are going to flip it yourself, not wholesale it for a quick 10K, but take the project on yourself. And then find a local person to join venture with that have been doing fix and flips and split it with them. Or just find somebody who you pay to consult you on how do you hire a general contractor? How do you vet a general contractor? What type of contract do you put in place? How do you set up your draws with the general contractor? What to look out for? But you have to pay people for the time. The problem with most of us is we want everything for free. We want people's time for free, and then we take it for granted, and then we don't appreciate it, and we want to do everything by ourselves because we don't want to split, and we have the scarcity mentality when there is enough for everybody. Why not graduate faster? If I have to go back, I am not wholesaling for more than 2 properties. I'm graduating like from kindergarten. Let's go. Let's go. All this garbage that these gurus tell you, toilet leaks is too complicated. What you call it? Flips are too dangerous. Blah 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 blah. They're doing them by the dozen in the back end. They're just not telling you about it. They freaking lie. There's nothing. It's like anybody who tells you, guys. Anybody who tells you, oh, you should just stick to the single family because multifamilies, you should punch them in the throat. Single family rentals are absolute trash. Single family rentals are absolute trash. Go listen to any big guru. And I say, listen, we all have TikTok brains nowadays. Don't just listen to 2 minutes podcast. Listen to the whole episode and watch them tell you on your face, even though they're selling you a single family mentorship, that they've offloaded all their single families because they realize it is trash themselves. But they've taught you stay away from multifamily, just do single family. Or stay away from new development. It's too complicated. It's too this, it's too that. You understand, guys? Use your brains. Use your brains. All right, guys? Anyway, let's get to it, guys. Let me look at what questions we have here. Azul, appreciate you. Familia, appreciate you. Appreciate you. Lawrence, what's up, my guy? All right, guys, let's go. Let me scroll here. Let me see what questions we have. So, boom. Diana said, sounds good. Thank you. Azul. Oh, Azul is in California. Man, how is it? Bro, how is all these fires going in California, man? Is it still is it still being solved? What's happening with all those properties that got burned down? So, okay, I have 2 leads possibly entertained a creative offer. Would you call to close them? Azul, I'm only interested if they have equity. If the deals don't have equity, I'm absolutely not interested, but also it's not deals that I'm interested in keeping or anything like that. But yeah, if he's to JV on it and then sell it off, do double closing and sell it off, no problem at all. I'm not super active in the California market. I think we've done probably 3 deals there accidentally. But Azul, can you DM me on Instagram at Real Estate Diallo, and I'll give you my my cell phone, and we can talk on the phone. All right, bro? Just DM me on Instagram, and I'll give you my number. Or on Facebook if you want. I don't know where you're watching me from. I'm nervous explaining the deal. I might need to go through a few deals. Azul, when you say you're nervous, typically the nervousness comes from lack of understanding what you're explaining. Really, like if I'm selling hats, but I don't know how to explain, how it's being handmade somewhere in Bengali, how is the kid that sat there and what texture of the freaking, like I would be nervous too. So the nervousness typically comes from the lack of reps and the lack of high level understanding of what you're doing. So it's gonna come with experience as well. The more deals you do, the more sellers you talk to, the more confident you get at explaining anything. You know what I mean? So I'm calling vacant auction list. Vacant auction list. Interesting, bro. Vacant auction list. Azul, are you calling pre-foreclosures, or are you calling properties that have already been foreclosed and is owned by the bank now? All right, Azul said, I've made friends and recruit to cold call for me since they've got. Ooh, Azul, listen to me, listen to me, brother, listen to me, brother. I don't know. I hope you're a brother. I'm not calling a sister a brother. Azul, if you go read the indictment of this company in Arizona, one of the things they've been accused of is having W-2 employees as 1099. So they have door knockers. So they have a whole team going out to pre-foreclosures and knocking on doors for them. And they have them as 1099. And they've been accused that those employees actually should have been, okay, W-2 employees. So the IRS might get involved and get a piece of the cake of all the deals they've done. So be careful when you recruit people on your team, whether that be cold callers, whether that be door knockers, be careful how you structure it. Azul, just an advice, obviously a friendly advice. I'm not an attorney, consult your own attorney, but I'm just letting you know. Okay. Be careful with that as well, the way you structure it at least. Okay, guys. Okay, let's go down the line. Boom, 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 boom. What's up, Mr. Mamadou? My name is so popular in West Africa, it's not even funny, but I'm the handsomest Mamadou that is out there. You know what I mean? Yeah, Azul. Okay. So we might have to go through a few different scenarios to learn. Absolutely, bro. It seems like agents are fed up with the amount of wholesalers. Absolutely. Agents are fed up with the amount of wholesalers calling them this one. I mean, agents have always been fed up though. Agents are one side of the coin with agents being mad at wholesalers is the fact that wholesalers came in and started making more money for them, because we've learned one thing that they don't learn through getting a license, and that is marketing and sales. Real estate agents don't learn that. They don't understand much about real estate, to be honest with you guys, except what we call the unicorn agents. Like I work with real estate agents like Jael Thomas. I've worked with a couple of real estate agents that are badass real estate agents. And the reason for that is because they understand the investing side, and they understand also, the realtor, I guess, side. But the real estate agents that are like classic, just straight, all I'm doing is taking down other people's properties, putting them on the market, and then listing it, and I'm getting a commission. Most of them don't know nothing about real estate. So most real estate agents don't deserve the commission. So it's not like I like them either anyway. But oh wow. Let's see. Vacant homes, the property manager offer my services. Boom, boom. Okay, I talked to homeowners 3 to 4 times. I give them a firm of brokers. She usually refers to her invest. Azul, are you licensed in California? Thank you so much, Familia. Thank you. I appreciate that, bro. I appreciate that, man. I haven't done a live for a while. I need to get back to this, man. I really enjoyed this. We've been busy, guys. We've been busy. We've transitioned. We've graduated to real estate university, doing real estate new development now. Can I tell you guys how excited we are? Just staying on the low. We're not. I avoid now most real estate events because of how garbage it is. The kind of garbage they teach there. You meet everybody. You meet 99.9% of people you shake hands with don't have nothing going on. They're not doing deals. They're not marketing. They're just complaining about the situations. Got so annoyed that I don't even want to talk to people. Like honestly, outside of my brothers, that is part of my team, I'm genuinely not interested in talking to a lot of people. It pays off to know good vendors. Absolutely, bro. By vendors, do you mean cash buyers? I'm hearing different things from different mentors. One of the things I've learned early on, actually even from my dad, even as a kid, he always told me the best way to get confused is to go and listen to multiple different mentors or coaches, right? Is to listen to multiple different people. If you're looking for an answer on something and you go and ask 3 different experts, you're going to end up confused and not know where to go, and you're just going to freeze and stop. So typically, if you find somebody that speaks to your heart, if you find somebody that you can relate to, if you find somebody that kind of matches your guys, don't lose yourself. This is the problem that happened with most of us when we join any kind of industries. We try to blend in so much. We're trying to become the mentor or the coach or the whatever. We lose our personality. We forget that when we join this mentorship, we already had ethics and morals. We come from different backgrounds, different religions, different ethics, different morals, and we start losing ourselves, and we want to become that person. But yo, I'm still Mamadou, man. Certain things, I love you as my mentor, but bro, what you're telling me right now is garbage. I'm not gonna do it. Ethically, I'm not cool with it. If you're cool with it, good for you. But this strategy is not for me. You have to be able to have that kind of mindset. Period. Don't worship people. Don't worship nobody. I don't give a damn who they are. Right. So thank you, family. I appreciate it. I love your take on it. Let me see. I meant in terms of the market, my investor mentor is buying more, a close hard money lender. Guys, right now, hard money lenders are your best friend. Make sure you get your credit right, 650 credit score or more. Go get pre-approved so you can double close on this property and stop messing with the gray line so you don't end up in jail like the short sale queen. Watch out, guys. Watch out, especially if you're doing pre-foreclosures. Please watch out. Too small. Let me see. My brother is moving to my brother is moving to Maryland. Okay, family. I've left Maryland a long time ago, man. I'm actually selling my last. I have 3 more single family homes that I own in Maryland, and I'm selling them off, all of them. No more single families for me, guys. I don't want to hear about single families. I don't want to do single families. No, only multifamily. And because now we're building ourselves, it's going to be products that we build ourselves. So we know for the next 20 to 30 years, we have zero issues with it. And we're going for the upper middle class. We're done dealing with just bunch of low income people that destroy your property the first minute they get the chance. Stop paying the first minute they get the chance. Not because they're low income, it's just because of the mindset. That's it. It's just a different, just a preference, just a personal preference. That would be a good thing. A better reputation. Then back to foreclosure. Okay. Okay, there you go. Lauren says, do banks allow you to revert the sale to the seller if you choose to? Well, Lawrence, my brother, again, I'm not a licensed attorney, so this is not legal advice. But what I've learned with real estate is that anything, actually, everything in general in life, but real estate specifically when you're negotiating, anything you're able, a willing buyer and a willing seller, anything you guys are able to negotiate and put on paper, you can enforce it as long as you don't use illegal languages. So the bank cannot stop you from reverting that property to the owner. All the banks want is to get paid. The bank, they're in the lending business. All they want is their money. So the only thing they can attack you for is their money, is to say, pay us. But they cannot tell you how you're going to pay them. They just want their money. So the bank cannot come and, because you own the property, you can sell it, you can refinance it. You have the right to do that if you own title. So with that being said, you don't need the bank's authorization to revert a property back to the owner. What you need is when you close in, this is another tip, guys. Never ever, this happened to me, I think, on 1 or 2 deals. I bought these deals from wholesalers and they're subject to deals. And I've learned very quickly that any property you buy from a wholesaler, you better make sure that the wholesaler put you in touch with the seller prior to closing to make sure that you know exactly what that wholesaler has promised this seller, that the seller fully understand what's going on. Make sure you double check their contracts. I'm telling you, that happened to me on a couple of deals. We close on it, pay the wholesaler the wholesale fee. Next thing I know, 1 month later, I'm getting a call from an angry homeowner that never understood not even 1 inch, not even 1% of the strategy that they're selling their house with. They don't understand it. So I had to re-explain everything over again. I had to reset everything again. I had to reset expectations. I had to calm them down. I had to rewrite certain things with them to make sure I'm protected. I had to tell them that, hey, listen, I got you. I'm going to explain exactly how it works because the other knucklehead is probably a newbie and he didn't know what he was doing. And it's my fault because I didn't verify, but I got you. That happened to me a couple of, never again. If I'm buying from a wholesaler, because they don't explain it. They're too afraid to lose the deal, so they don't fully disclose what's happening. They don't disclose the risk to the seller, the risk involved of leaving a loan on your name and your credit in the back end, what could potentially happen, how that if I buy your property subject to, technically, unless one of us pass away, we're in some sort of marriage, we got to stay in touch because things might arise where I'll need you to either revert the property back to you or do something else. All right, guys. So that's the answer, brother. I hope that answers the question. I hope that answers the question. Let me see. Where was I? Ooh, yeah, Mr. Lawrence. I hope that answers the question, my bro. Bro, we all learning every day, man. We never stop. It never stops. Something else. Have a couple of wholesale. Let me see. Have a couple of wholesale Palisades RTIs already. I got you, bro. Those properties are starting to sell. Okay. Let's see. I'm following your journey in the development game. It's amazing watching your growth. Thank you, familia. Thank you, man. I appreciate it, guys. Well, guys, listen. This is where we are. Okay, guys. The industry is gonna be shaking up. Things are gonna change. I'm not gonna be surprised if within the next 6 years, maybe five, wholesaling completely disappears. But honestly, guys, you gotta graduate from that shit, man. Like there's nothing fulfilling about wholesaling freaking properties. There's nothing fulfilling about it. I've never met somebody who the only people that I've met that are all they're doing is real estate wholesaling, they're completely mentally drained. Completely mentally drained. They don't know nothing about nothing. Like they completely like you gotta graduate. Another thing I'm gonna tell you guys to stay away from is pick who you learn from, because there is some people out here that absolutely don't care, guys. They will sell you a mentorship whatever it costs. They will tell you whatever you want to hear to sell you a mentorship ticket. So be careful who you learn from. Be careful what kind of strategies you apply before consulting your local attorneys. Another thing is be careful if you're new and you're going to take down properties and borrow money, especially with private money lenders. And I've dealt with, if I have to count, guys, I probably raised over $8 million to $10 million in private money I'm talking about, right? And one of the things I've realized also in the wholesaling industry is bunch of these private lenders that join these mentorships, the ones that don't have a lot of money, they're actually desperate lenders. What I mean by that is they have their last pennies, they have their last $25,000 or their last $45,000. They want to lend it on one property and get rich off of that one loan. And so they come to you with these terms that is absolute garbage. They're lending you on a deal where you yourself, you're probably only going to make 15% net if you're fix and flipping it. And they'll come to you and say, hey, I'm a lender and I want you to give me 38%. I want you to give me 28%. I want you to give me gamblers straight from Vegas. This is real estate, bro. The math is not mathing. And there is millions lost because of these loan structures where the lender was a desperate lender. He lended based on return excitement. He got excited about the returns. He doesn't even know how to comp a property, right? But he lended on the deal because the borrower promised him a 30% return, and the borrower was a desperate borrower also. So you have two desperate people. The lender is desperate and the borrower is desperate, and then the deal is a nightmare. Dozens and dozens. Guarantee you guys, those people are not just talking about it online, but I get the calls. You know how many people call me, Mamadou, I'm stuck. I've lost $100,000 that I've lended on this property. And when I ask them, tell me, how did you structure the deal? Even this happened to me even with real estate agents. Real estate agents called me because they heard about the strategy of lending that way. They went and did it and they lost money, period. And they called me and I'm like, okay, tell me about the deal. Okay, give me the numbers. Okay, let's look at the numbers. Let's come to the property. Let's look at what was the renovation, blah, blah, blah. I look at it, I'm like, you lost your property before you even wrote the documents, because this property was already negative from day one. If you just knew how to comp a property properly, if you just knew how to come up with repair estimation properly, if you just knew what it costs to sell a home in the back end properly, if you just knew what could happen on the market and what could happen with a general contractor, if you go over budget, you would know that this deal was very, very, very tight from day one, and you should have never landed on it. So yes, the person that borrowed from you is a dickhead, but you are also a dickhead for lending with those terms. That's the bottom line. All right. So guys, stay away from borrowing loans that are super aggressive, completely stupid, that make no sense in 90 days. Is big in the industry now. They call themselves whatever they call themselves. I know the fuck out of my ears when I hear these people. Okay. Let me see. Would you sponsor me on a 5-plex multifamily? Azul, unless it's a new development that you're doing and you got the land, I'm probably not a good fit. But if the deal makes sense, I do have a list of folks that we work with closely that do sponsor these kind of deals. So I could bring somebody that I know. If I vet the deal, vet you, make sure you're credible, And the deal definitely gotta be sweet, bro. And if it's California, it better be sweet, sweet, sweet. All right. Bought a couple of mentorship a year ago. I definitely learned some people are just gurus. Lost money on PMLs as well. Losses are just thank you, familia. Exactly. Exactly. I've lost money myself lending money. I've lost money lending money. I've borrowed money where I had delays because of refinance delays, because of the fix and flip was only supposed to take 6 months, but it take 8 months, right? Luckily, I've learned early on to be conservative on all the numbers. So every deal we've done so far, thanks God, we've been able, worst case scenario, to break even, pay every single PML, cash them out, get them their money, get them their returns, and nobody loses money. That we've been able to do. But it's part of the game, guys. It's part of the game. Imagine Ronaldo saying, I want to be a soccer player, and then giving up just because he had an injury. He wouldn't be Ronaldo right now. Yes, guys, I grew up in Europe, so I'm a soccer guy. So let's say baseball. Imagine who's the GOAT? Who's the GOAT in freaking American football? Tom Brady. Tom Brady. Imagine Tom Brady had given up because one time somebody punched him with gave him an elbow, and he's like, oh man, this shit actually hurts. Let me just give up. This is what happens with 99.9% of people in this real estate industry. You meet people and they start bitching. Oh yeah, man, this real estate is so tough, man. I went through one fix and flip. It was so tough, man. And I ended up giving up. I don't want to do fix and flips anymore because one time I thought I was gonna make $60,000, but I only made $15,000. Like what? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? So anyway, guys, good hanging out with you guys. Really appreciate it. Man, I gotta redo these lives more. I'm probably gonna pick a consistent day to do these, but right now we're so busy, man, that shit, man. But guys, I really, really appreciate it. I appreciate you, Familia. I appreciate you, Azul. Appreciate you, Mr. Lawrence. Appreciate you, Mamadou. Right? I appreciate everybody that hung out with me here, guys. Look out for the next Bold Effect podcast that I'm gonna do with attorney Michael Gross, talking about what's happening in the industry, the changes coming, what to watch out for. He's gonna spill all the beans. I'm probably gonna do it tomorrow or so. I'm gonna release it Sunday or Monday. You guys look out for it, but go already on my YouTube channel. Check out our new journey in real estate, new development. Check out my podcast, the Boom Effect Podcast. I'm gonna keep bringing guests on there, guys. But watch out for the new journey we're on. You're gonna see me dropping a way different content, moving way different. So, guys, I'm super, super excited. For my brothers and I. And yeah, guys, we're gonna keep coming back here, dropping gems, calling shit for what it is. Call a cat, a pig, and a guru. All right, guys. And it can piss whoever it pisses off. We don't care. All right, guys. I appreciate you guys, man. Take care, guys. Keep your ethics, and most importantly, keep that boom mentality, guys. Be bold, be obsessed, be optimistic, and lastly, have that mindset abundant. That's what the boom stand for, right, guys? Never give up. You gotta be bold, man. You have to be obsessed with this shit. You have to be optimistic. There's enough for everybody, and you gotta have an abundance mindset. All right, guys. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you, guys. Thank you guys so much. And Azul, definitely hit me up on my DM on Instagram, bro. And I'll send you my WhatsApp number on my cell, and we can just hop on the phone and talk, my brody. All right, guys. Peace out. Boom, boom, boom.